Okay, we're doing the Worcester review of the streak. I saw the ending to this already. So I know what happens at the end. And I think I saw a part of the draft yesterday.
That's last one. I'm hoping that is a good guard jump. And Milo tick.
You can't ever really take the...
Why is it?
So I really disagree here. The Garchomp 2 set might be... It might still be a top 10 factory set, I feel. It's very unfair to miscategorize this, I feel. Garchomp 2 also makes quite a nice lead due to what Garchomp normally forces in.
Is it Chomp 2?
And Milo 4 is an incredibly broken Pokemon. This is one of the highest potential Pokemon to win a 1v3 as well.
Here's a good Milo tick.
And you're never taking Dust Noir. And you're never taking the Quick Claw Manectric.
Holy shit.
So this draft, on first glance, looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just my...
But it's actually not, because although the best three Pokemon by far, and the only three Pokemon you can really take are Froslass, Garchomp, Milotic, the choice for the lead is actually especially important because we are quite likely to swap out the Froslass for something a bit more type complementarity. Basically, we want an Ice switch in that also doesn't get hit too hard by Dragon, which normally means a Steel. This is why the meme of Dragon Steel Water is so common. There are not a lot of Steel types in the factory though, so you shouldn't really be building around that assuming you will get one. What you might get offered is a better Ice type. Froslass 1 is Froslass 1, isn't it?
My third go at it, but it is funny that the other two didn't go past 50. I doubt this one is going to either.
The lead choice... Yeah, you don't even need to know the sets. He switched off Froslass quite quickly. I just want to double check what it is. So yeah, it is Froslass 1. The lead choice here is really important. Basically, it's really, really important that Milotic is in the back. The I would say by far the best lead, if you're not planning to swap at all, would be Froslass. Simply because we have a good switch-in options for Rock and for Fire. And Froslass 1, because it's so quick, it doesn't do a lot of switching out of the Ghost Mirrors as well, which is part of why it's not that good. I would say if we're going to be optimistic about the draft and say that Froslass 1 is going to become a better Pokemon, we should really be leading Garchomp. Because it has the super unfair speed tier. It's fast and 299 basically.
Quick Claw Manectric has my only physical moves.
The fact that the draft is all special doesn't matter. This is not Gen 3.
Special. One hit KO.
Milotic is really good in special mirrors, and if it's a stab electric, then we have Garchomp.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the most responsible thing to do is to lead Froslass. But optimistically, you'd lead Garchomp.
I mean, it's definitely these two. The last one is either going to be Dugong or Froslass.
You definitely don't want to lead the Milo, though.
Dugong,
Milo needs to be somewhat protected here. It's the safest ticket to a 1v2.
Froslass does have good speed, at least. Froslass 1 is not that hard.
Another thing about Froslass 1 is that Attract is less useless than it may seem, because the factory does bias towards male Pokemon with the EVs and so on. So yeah, I would heavily criticize the decision to lead Milotic. I really don't know why he's doing this. Um, Milotic does hit the hardest, but it's also the slowest of these. And what we can't do here is we do not have the flexibility to switch out Milotic if it's basically if it's anything except electric. If Milotic is finding itself against a matchup like Snorlax, it's just forced to switch. It's just forced to stay in basically, because we're not coming in against an unknown Snorlax with any Pokemon in the back. It's a similar thing with a potentially specially defensive Regirock or something. Like we just don't want to be put in this position. Milo is a really good switch in with its Lumberry, Milo 4. Let's put up the speed a bit. So yeah, I didn't actually watch the first. I watched the last game. I do know what happens there. There's another situation where we would have much rather not led Milotic. It is very painful to be slower than this. Garchomp won't one-shot Ninetales, but Ninetales is not doing a lot back to Garchomp either. It would have been not great against Frostas, but at least against Frostas we know that the fire move is incoming, so we can make a plan around that. But yeah, Garchomp 2 in particular is pretty unlikely to ever lose to Ninetales. So in this scenario, we are, what are we worried about? We've got Lum for Confuse Ray Hypnosis. I guess Ninetales 4 is a bit spooky. Getting hit by 2 energy balls. We can't really recover on it, even though we do out-recover because of the drop and the Carmine potential. Okay. That's a pretty good start. So Ninetales 1 would also have been pretty annoying. This team doesn't really want to operate under Sun.
Dragon Pulse in case it switches? Something with water throwing?
Should definitely use a non-water move here, yes.
What a call!
Vaporeon's also a bit spooky.
I should beat this one-on-one.
You need to be careful about the potential for Baton as well.
Oh, I mean, it can have acid armor, like the special attack. I should just be able to beat this.
I just care about whether or not it's Vaporeon 1. It's not. So yeah, he does get this for free. The question is, I think even in this scenario, I'll mute him for a second. In this scenario, because we stall out Vaporeon 2 so easily, and because I've said before, we don't want to have Milotic in really. What he should do here is completely PP stall out the Hydro Pumps. And then when Vaporeon 2 has only got Ice Beam left, or even maybe when it hasn't got anything left, we go to Frostlass to kill Vaporeon, because we know that Frostlass is faster than Ninetales 1, and Frostlass will one-shot it with Ominous Wind after this. Oh, it wasn't Ninetales 1, was it? It was Ninetales 4. But we, no, it was Ninetales 3 with Hypnosis. But we know that we can get it with Ominous Wind. I think we want to do that because that's a really safe line. We're basically guaranteed a 3 versus 1. So it would be quite a big mistake to kill this with Milotic, basically. We can quite safely PP stall out Hydro Pump with Recover. So he should be doing that here, really. Ideally, you might even be able to do it under Rain, so that even if Frostlass misses the kill versus Ninetales, we still win. But yeah. Okay, Ninetales comes in again. We've got to remember, like, the mon in the back, it could have been something much scarier than Ninetales, and that's why I recommend this. Like, what if it had been something not like a Latios? What if it had been just something with coverage from Milotic that was faster? And we don't want to deal with Ninetales 3 endgame too much either, particularly if Frostlass goes down. There's just no reason to have Milotic in here. And there's no reason to risk Hypnosis at all. So yeah, the Hypnosis misses. I mean, it's extremely unlikely that Ninetales kills Milotic. The concern was specifically about whether or not the switch in would be something other than Ninetales that would force Milotic out. Whereas Frostlass would be basically guaranteed to bring Ninetales in, particularly as it's no type spec. Something like Aerodactyl would lose the switch in tie versus Ninetales, because Ninetales is fire type, and Aero is only it's rock flying, so only one of its types is super effective against Frostlass. We would be unafraid of so much. If it had been like something like a rock steel, we obviously quite easily win from there. Yeah, his PB. I mean, I think we're gonna see why his PB isn't very large today. So it's Harry 1 or 4. The rain is pretty helpful. Yeah, I think the decision to swap here is a bit interesting. I was expecting him to Ice Beam this Hariyama. I think like we're a little bit interested in whether or not this Hariyama is Guts or Thick Fat, and we would have got that information by using Ice Beam. I suppose he's not interested at all in Hariyama 1. Hariyama 1 would be a pretty interesting Pokemon to have in the back with a Garchomp lead. I guess I think I would prefer Frostlass, but I already disagree with the team because Milotic is leading.
Hariyama is garbage. Vaporeon is...
Hariyama is not garbage. No swap, okay. That's a very easy Garchomp switch in, but there are electric types that cause more difficulty than this.
Wave. It's funny that even with Bolt it still goes Wave.
Thunder Wave is more likely if you're slower, but it's not. It's never guaranteed.
I don't want to waste the Draco.
Okay, so it's Jolteon 1. Jolteon 1, Baton passing into Charizard. That tells you quite a lot about the structure of the team. Charizard coming in. So we don't have a we can't have a water type with Ice Beam, which is pretty big. This is very likely Charizard 3, which is the Dragon Claw set. Oh, Rowby is live. We'll go back there later. Yeah, this is a very likely Garchomp against Charizard 3.
That's annoying.
I don't think it desperately matters. I don't love clicking Surf or Draco here because we're giving it Blaze. Particularly knowing that Jolteon is on the team and that the best switch in for Garchomp was Charizard. I feel like we go straight back to Milo here. The worst thing that could happen with Milo is Sunny day.
What Zard could really threaten Milotic?
It would definitely be the sunny day one.
What could this do? It could do Will-O-Wisp. It could be the physical one.
Well, no, it can't be Charizard 2 because no, it can't be Charizard 2 because it's White Herb. So yeah, there is basically no downside at all going Milotic. Milotic could get crit, but it would live.
I just don't want to lose the White Herb. Like, Garchomp would probably win this matchup, but obviously, I want Garchomp around for Jolteon. And if Jolteon shows up on Milotic...
It's less about Jolteon and more about the fact that we know the third Pokemon is going to be rubbish into Garchomp as well.
I'm just switching straight back to Garchomp. And I think Milotic can tank hits from any of the Zards. I guess the worst option for Milotic would be if it's Zard 2.
It can't be Zard 2, it's because Zard 2 is White Herb and Garchomp is White Herb. I guess a Spadef drop could have been annoying from Charizard 4. The fact that it's Charizard 4 gives us even more information. I was really expecting it to be Charizard 3, but Charizard 4 is... It could be a few special sets in the back as well, I guess. I mean, Jolteon is very strongly biased towards special, so the baton pass choosing Charizard 4 is not too unexpected.
Oh, Spadef drop, piss off. Based on that damage output, though, even a Sunny Day Solar Beam set...
I'm really surprised he clicks Recover in situations like these, because it is not riskless. Charizard 4 is Bright Powder. I feel like it's always playing with fire to stay in and just heal on these moves that can drop special defense.
Solar Beam does like exactly half. Sun goes down.
And Solar Beam will do more than half, but Charizard 2 is impossible.
No, I'll just go Surf. Jolteon will come out. He'll just miss Focus Blast here. Damn. I was like, the sneaky option is switch to Frostlass as he goes Focus Blast and then switch back again.
You can't do that because Air Slash can be chosen over Focus Blast. Their roles do overlap. Like the Air Slash max roll is close to the Focus Blast max roll. And if Frostlass gets hit by Air Slash crit would kill Frostlass 1. Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
But Jolteon's going to come back out and I'm just going to switch to Garchomp. I don't want to introduce, like, it gets...
We didn't miss the Bright Powder. I mean, we got to think. There was no bad luck here. We got to think about the 10% scenario where we missed this Surf and what actually happens there. I feel like, honestly, maybe we have to go Garchomp.
Ancient Power, Omni Boost, and I actually lose.
Yeah, but if we surf, we have to get 10% twice, or we have to get basically a 7% on Focus Blast, and we got to miss Surf, and then it's also got to hit its next move. And then even if, like, Milo just has to be above 100 pretty much to be quite strongly favoured to survive Focus. It would have to be like Bright Powder miss into crit. That would be the punish for clicking Surf. And it would have to get like a pretty good roll. So Jolteon is quite likely to baton pass again here. It's faster than Garchomp, so it doesn't really want to agility. Thunderbolt and Thunder Wave both don't do anything. I'm just thinking what the best move to click is. It probably is Earth Power. The chance of it being a Levitate in the back is very low, and we already saw the Flying type. But we should note that there was a reason to click Surf, I think. Okay. Well, that's over.
There's my White Herb.
If we want to be completely safe, we switch to Frostlass here.
I'm actually still going to swap here, because Garchomp's a checkmate on Jolteon.
Yeah, this is correct. Go Frostlass.
Nice.
I guess payback could have been possible from Granbull 3 as well, though. We could have had an Earthquake crit from Granbull 4. But Granbull 4 is so incredibly likely to close combat over Earthquake. Okay, so it's dead to its life orb. This game is over. Can't take any of those, really. Jolteon 1 is a one-trick pony. Can't take Charizard 4, I think. Not in the bag. This is another scenario where he should not have led Milo.
Good with electric. Alright, got it.
Good with electric. Does that change anything? I don't think so. Granbull is just terrible.
Jump good. Do they have Jolteon? Granbull?
What you can't do here is... this is why it's so awkward. Milo can't leave the team. Milo 4 is way too important. But now we're leading Milo into an electric spec. We would be very concerned about something like a Shuckerberry Electivire. Basically. What would happen there? Like, we kind of have to double switch check with Frostlass in that scenario.
And the Zard. Not exactly good options for electric.
The other concern would be Zapdos.
I know. Is the non-electric?
It's not completely safe though. There is the risk of Quick Claw. All of the items basically fuck you up. The risk of Quick Claw, the risk of Laxin Sense, and Torterra 2 would survive Ice Beam, and Torterra 1 has Yachi Berry. So this is actually a much worse matchup for Milotic than it looks at first. I think at least with Torterra 1, you wouldn't be giving it Overgrow if you Ice Beamed. God, that's such a fast Ice Beam. Are we not even going to discuss what Torterra 4 could have done? It is Torterra 1.
That's nice.
Can't actually remember the Grass Knot AI, but it doesn't matter too much. Because Earthquake would have done more. The punish for this would have been Earthquake crit. What do you do against Torterra 4? You probably want to have a plan at least. You want to be sure that staying in with Milotic is correct. Because you probably lose if that happens what is Electrode.
That's interesting. I'm thinking of...
Yeah, he's going to be worried about Mirror Coat, isn't he? It is a somewhat legitimate risk, because Electrode 4 is sashed. Oh, so Grassknot doesn't have any special AI, it just checks the roll correctly, okay. Yeah, I feel like we want to play around the possibility of Electrode 4. All of the other Electrodes we PP stall with Garchomp, Frostlass anyway, because they only have electric and normal moves.
Because obviously both of them are electric, right?
We can't PP stall the Electrode 4 that easily though, because Miracle has a lot of PP. And once Miracle is out of PP, it's going to start to randomly explode even more often.
Might be one where I stay in with Milotic, right? Because if it's Electrode 4, and that's got Sash Miracle, that is not great.
Well, the other problem with Electrode 4 is Electrode 4 is going to two-shot Milotic here. Very likely. Very likely Thunderbolt will two-shot Milotic. And obviously you can't recover on that. Yeah, there's no reason not to go Garchomp, really.
Electro definitely cannot one-hit Milotic as well.
The downside of going Garchomp is that Electrode could explode.
Another Pokemon that I'm very scared of for Garchomp is Electivire 4, because that's got a Shucker Berry and it has Ice Punch.
But that's very unlikely. So it's Ball 2. This Electrode. That doesn't narrow down much information at all. I'm just thinking how many electric sets don't run electric move. Almost none. The Zapdos set. Yeah, it's basically no information.
The Miracote one.
Is he really going to attack? If you're going to attack, at least use Ice Beam.
So if it's the Miracote one, right? What I want to do is I want to hit it, but not get killed by Miracote. Then switch to Garchomp on Thunderbolt, and then probably switch to Frostlass.
Thing is, Miracote has a broken AI. It looks up the wrong Gen 3 type. Miracote's not actually that likely against Milotic.
Explosion. Ice Beam to try and... I think we'll go Thunder.
I'm really surprised he did this. Like, what if it is Electrode 4 and... what if it's just Electrode 4? What did it do? Thunder. Okay. So you can PP stall that out with Garchomp and Frostlass. I'm not sure if he'll do it.
This is interesting because Thunder is Thunder and Hyper Beam. I could PP stall it.
Okay.
To make sure I don't take damage.
Good.
By switching between.
That's definitely correct.
It is technically the safest option.
I don't want to spoil myself. Okay. She's going to kill it under rain. I feel like it's probably... It's probably slightly safer to kill it under rain.
Nah, it doesn't have to.
Raichu. That's... game over. Only Raichu 4 had any real chance here. And we didn't miss Earth Power. No Bright Powder. Torterra is... I don't think Torterra 1 is good enough to take. I don't think I'll ever take Raichu 3. So yeah, this is at the start of this, I talked about how we want to make decisions based on the likelihood of swapping, and I do think, given how things have gone, the Frostlass lead is so much better. But if someone optimistically would have led Garchomp, I would have said that's probably fair as well, because this team is not unbeatable. It is a pretty good draft. It's not unbeatable.
What's the lead for Terra 1, Electrode 3, Raichu 3?
Wait, I skipped the type spec. Sorry. No type, okay.
Empoleon I can probably...
I can't think of a good reason not to kill this with Milo.
Recover stall. I don't think there's any Empoleon that can do significant damage to me, so... It's just gonna be Surf, Recover, Surf, Recover, Surf, Recover.
I guess the biggest fear would be Empoleon 3. Empoleon is also a little bit... I mean, we're talking about steel options. Empoleon's a little bit of an interesting choice, but it is making the team double electric weak. I don't know if I love that. And also, Empoleon 1 kind of sucks. So I'm glad he used Recover before he was in crit Brick Break range, at least. Another thing here, we are It's extremely rare in Gen 4 to be worried about PP, but we might want to use a few Dragon Pulses here so that we have more Surf PP. It's one of those things, if someone did it, I wouldn't even criticise though, because something like that very, very rarely comes up. Another option here is that we could definitely have a scenario where we could potentially bring in Frostlass. The problem is that Torrent Waterfall will crit will kill Frostlass, so I feel like Milotic has to stay in. We are locked in.
Oh yeah, I think Stadium has my favourite enemy.
So we're healing. We get hit by Torrent Waterfall before we die, that's fine. Yeah, as long as it didn't crit. So there's no Water and Steel in the back. How much does that change the matchup? It's pretty good news for Garchomp, because Garchomp doesn't actually have a great matchup into Steels, because the floaty Steels are very annoying to deal with. It's good news for Frostlass as well, and that's two types that resist Ice out of the way. Empoleon 1 is physical, but because Empoleon is pretty much a mixed attacker, the disparity between its physical and special attacks is not that disparate. It's more that Milotic is high in special defense, so there is quite a strong bias for this to be switching to be a physical attacker. Okay. Obviously there's a Sash set. Yeah. Again, this is why I don't like the Milo lead. I feel like the best decision, just like with Torterra, is probably to commit to staying in. But it would suck to lose Milo to a Focus Sash Horn Drill or something here.
It's probably just Surf, right? I think the most threatening thing is either Sunny Day Solar Beam or Calm Mind, and either way I just prefer to get damage off.
I don't see how Entei could possibly win. So do you take Entei 4? Is Entei 4 that better than Frostlass? It might be. Problem with having Entei 4 is, once again, the fact that we're leading Milotic, we're just a little bit weak to a Pokemon in the back with Surf Ice Beam if we do that and Milotic goes down. I'm just seeing more and more reasons not to have led Milotic, really. What you shouldn't do is Garchomp 2 is good, and by the same logic Entei 4 is quite good, because it doesn't matter that they're using their weaker attacking stat. You just got to focus on the speed, the relative bulk, and the power, and all of those are fine.
Entei is kind of okay, kind of similar to Frostlass.
I'm not sure if that's true. Entei's a much better Pokemon, but it has much greater downsides as well. 1 second. Yeah, I can't actually stop that.
Doesn't hit grass, which for Milotic is the weakness.
Grass isn't a real weakness for Milotic 4. You've got Milotic 4 and Garchomp. We're not actually going to lose to a grass type here.
Kind of prefer Frostlass to being Ghost type. Allows it to switch into a decent amount of stuff.
Is that true? I feel like this is round 7 and before brain talking, where even if we go up against something like Snorlax, Snorlax is not guaranteed to use a normal move because of the set variation possible.
Like, I could do the PP Sword with Electrode that I did before, or I'm switching into it on Explosion, or...
Explosion is like 2% on turn 1, that's not going to happen.
Oh, he...
No type. It's a pretty good time to have a Milotic lead. Milotic is, of course, base 81 speed. Dragonite is base 80. And no Dragonites run any speed investment. So it was nice to get the one-shot there. I mean, Dragonite 4 probably is decently likely to survive Ice Beam. And it's got Choice Band, Outrage, which can one-shot Milo. But it didn't happen, so it didn't happen. That was a little bit scary, though. Yeah, once again, I feel like Milo has to stay in here. Because we can't switch out of the Curse set or of the DD set. Weirdly, Tyranitar 3 might be the most threatening one for once, because T-Tar 2 is going to lock into Thunder Punch and do nothing to Garchomp. I would be scared about Tyranitar 4.
I mean, I don't think there's a scenario where I switch here, certainly turn 1. If it shows that it's T-Tar 2, then I'll switch to Garchomp, sure.
I don't...
Because it could also be set up, it could be Curse or Dragon Dance. So I think...
The thing is... T-Tar 4 is max HP. It probably survives 2 Surfs.
Just see which one it is, and then play. Not Tyranitar 2.
That's Bulk. It's Dragon Dance, isn't it?
It is the Dancer.
Yeah, this is really fucking scary. The really important thing here is whether or not T-Tar 4 sees a kill with Stone Edge at +1. And I think because of the Sand Chip, it probably does. Because we have to take 1/16 here. Oh, 370. Probably does see a kill, yeah. What's funny here, I think the correct play here might be to go Frostlass and have Frostlass just die so we can get Garchomp in, because Garchomp will two-shot with Earth Power, but Garchomp is faster. So if Garchomp comes in, what it's quite likely to do is dance again into Crunch. So we're probably not risking anything apart from the Crunch crit. I think I'd rather have Milotic alive than have Frostlass alive. Also, if Stone Edge kills Milotic here, I think it's big trouble. I'm not sure what we would do then. We'd probably have to go Frostlass and Ice Beam it so that Garchomp can play the final matchup as a 1v1. Yeah, Garchomp 2 in Sand in a 1v1 with its White Herb intact. That's quite likely to win at the end, but I think probably just let Frostlass die here to get Garchomp in safely so that Garchomp and Milotic can be alive for the final Pokemon. What was it again? It was Dragonite, T-Tar. And it's not an electric, basically. It's not an electric or a grass. Very, very unlikely they would have come in first. The concern would be... I can't think of a big concern. I think if Milotic stays alive, I think we win.
So switch now, it'll be faster than Milotic. I think it'll go Stone Edge, because it'll be able to kill. Garchomp will be able to tank the Stone Edge. I'm not super convinced Earth Power will be able to kill is the thing, but...
It definitely wouldn't. Garchomp is quite a lot weaker than Milo. God, are we really going to go Garchomp? I mean, if Garchomp gets crit with Stone Edge or with Crunch on the following turn, and we lose Garchomp, and then obviously Tyranitar is faster than Milo, I guess Frostlass would have to revenge, but Frostlass Milo doesn't feel secure at all.
Revenge. And I've got Sandvale, missed chances as well. Yeah, it's the right play to switch.
It's the right play to switch, but I would not be going Garchomp. The thing is, I know he doesn't lose this match because I've seen the last match. So I know it doesn't crit, I guess. 195, that's probably not crunch range. It's scary that it almost was.
Ugh. There we go, there's a...
That's a lot of damage. I mean, Garchomp is weaker than Milo. It has about 15% less special attack. And Milo barely did half.
Sandvale miss.
Yeah, the Sandvale miss is not the reason to go Garchomp. It's an interesting kind of Pokemon. Do we know anything about this Heatran? Don't think we do, right? What was the last match? Oh no, it can't be the Shuckerberry set because Entei was Shuckerberry. What was it? Entei Rhyperior. We don't know what the Rhyperior. So it can be, it's Heatran 2, 3, or 4. It can't be Shuckerberry. I would probably let Frostlass die here.
Heatran. Okay, well, I mean, obviously I can Earth Power. Sorry, Heat Power, I was going to say. I'm kind of thinking about, do I actually want information on the Heatran? That being said, if I just use Earth Power, it does give me decent information because one of them has a
That's
Shucker,
fine, Ciso.
and one of them has a Focus Sash. So I've learned
It can't be Shuckerberry.
if it was one of them.
Heatran 3 is the best Heatran, I feel.
Problem is between the other two, one of them is good and the other one is shit.
What's funny is that Heatran 2 you might take anyway. Because of its typing. What's he gonna do?
How much is...
Are we letting Frostlass die? Yeah, because I think if Frostlass faints and we still have Recover Milo in the back, we're never gonna lose.
Let's get some info. Flash Cannon, alright. So that's either going to be 1 or 4.
It's 4.
We'll go back to Garchomp. Put Earth Power.
It's 4 because one has Shuckerberry and Entei had Shuckerberry. I think you definitely take Focus Sash Heatran.
Or over Frostlass. Alright.
No type, okay. It would actually be, again, I keep beating this drum. It would be really nice to have led Heatran or Garchomp here. Gem Free Brain. That is a bit unlucky after just getting rid of Frostlass.
No, that's going to be switched to Chomp. I'm just thinking because there is... If it's the crap... Yeah,
There's absolutely no way you can stay in. Absolutely no way, because taking way more than half on Milo is just a death sentence. Milo is not that fast. It could make Milo completely useless for the rest of the game.
Be much better if the chomp was physical.
And if it's Zapdos free, like, that's the best case scenario anyway.
I have to swap regardless. It's not actually a good matchup for Chomp. If it's the crap physical Zapdos.
Ideally, it's Zapdos free.
Swapping because it isn't, but it'll go fucking drill back and probably win. Thunderbolt. Yeah. Okay. So it's gotta be Draco.
So it's 2 or 4.
Yeah.
It's 2 or 4. Not a lot to do. Bright Powder is super annoying.
There's no double switch shenanigans I can do. It's just gotta be Draco.
It's a little bit awkward that Draco has 5 PP as well. In case of Bright Powder miss or in case of Light Screen. I would also Draco. Okay, Zapdos 2. Yeah. You could argue this is worst case scenario, I think. And I think, like, out of all the Zapdos sets, I think that would be true. It probably is worst case scenario. You know what's funny? I hadn't thought about it that much, but arguably Tyranitar 4 was a better swap than Heatran 4. Anyway, putting that aside, because I also didn't really think about that actively. What I would do here is definitely stall out the light screens. We can use Heatran 4 here. Heatran 4 doesn't take very much at all from Ominous Wind, and Ominous Wind only has 10 PP. Right now it has 4 turns of light screen left. So obviously that's an even number, so we go to Heatran, come back, go to Heatran, come back. And then Zapdos has to use light screen again.
I'm actually not sure what the play is now.
Or it's dead to Draco.
No, it's not Drill Peck. So this one's other attacking moves are Ominous Wind and Ancient Power. So that's not going to do much to Chomp, but I'm doing fuck all to him as well, right?
We really need to use Heatran here.
On second this turn. It's actually possible that Zapdos swaps here, and if it does, it'll almost certainly be swapping to a Steel.
That would be incredibly rare. And also a good thing, even if we doubled Draco. I would go Heatran. Definitely. Definitely I would go Heatran.
Because Zapdos is doing very little damage to Garchomp, so if it's got something that resists Draco Meteor, he could definitely swap to it. Not many Steel types are going to have a good move against Garchomp though, so it'd be something like Ice Punch Proboblast. No, this Zapdos doesn't have Roost. And now it doesn't have Roost. If that was the case, I'd be in big trouble.
Well, if you're going to switch to Heatran, you wouldn't be in trouble.
Well, I mean, that's a range, so it's... Well, it could be a range, is what I'm saying, because it's like, 2 Flamethrowers has less than 1 Draco Meteor. So is that amount of damage 1/3?
If we let Heatran get hit by the Ominous Winds, then Zapdos can never kill Garchomp pretty much.
There's no way Draco's the play, and I don't think switching is the play straight away, you would do it later. Draco just gives way too many bad situations here, so I think Flamethrower is the play for this turn, and then we'll think about next turn.
Flamethrower?
If it gets the Rainbow Boost, I'm in so much trouble there, like at any stage. That's gotta get crit. Fuck. The other thing is...
I'm not even sure if this counts as bad luck. I mean, if Heatran gets crit and takes like 60 something, whatever. Garchomp is a pretty bulky Pokemon. I feel like the health on Garchomp might be more important than the health on Heatran. We're losing the Sash on Heatran, but I think that's completely fine. It's quiet, Heatran 4, but it's still pretty fast compared to some of the really slow things. And even after it takes a few Ominous Winds, particularly if it only takes 2 Ominous Winds, It can still probably explode.
Flamethrower could burn. That would change what I do.
God, why the fuck are we flamethrowing? What is his plan? Flamethrower Draco? Does that even kill? It's also another thing with the factory and about strategy games in general. Sunk cost fallacy isn't. It's a real thing. You don't. The fact that staying in got punished doesn't mean that it's now correct to keep staying in. The correct play once again would be to go to Heatran here. Guard drop being hit sucks a little bit, but if we can get rid of a few ominous win PP. What's tricky about that, though, is that Light Screen is going to expire on Heatran and not on Garchomp now because we've stayed in. So there's 3 turns of Light Screen left. But we could go for the Magma Storm, potentially. As a little bit of a high-risk play. Don't know, though. Like, even if you want to attack, at least go to Heatran once and then come back and then Flamethrower Draco. Because then we don't have to worry about Light Screen. Because Zapdos won't use Light Screen below half health. So we are basically guaranteed to... I don't think it's below half. Okay, you know what? There is a small reason to stay in and Flamethrower this turn and then switch so it hasn't got Light Screen anymore and then kill it. I would still go Heatran.
So he's going to get me in 3 more, assuming no crits, no rainbows.
You've got to remember also, this is not a bad scenario because if we can get rid of the electric type, Milo can 1v2.
Exactly off. Just so useful. So,
What was that?
like, Heatran I don't want to use against this either. That's Heatran's moveset. And so especially with Explosion, Sash is just so useful.
That's just so useful. The reason why Heatran 4 isn't like SS tier is because it's so slow. Even with Focus Sash, you're not guaranteed to get off the explosion. The really scary stuff that you can run into in Factory is, generally speaking, things like Hypnosis and Confuse Ray, as well as getting some kind of like secondary effect like Thunderbolt Paralysis. It would be nice to keep the Sash intact, but I think I would much rather have Garchomp not faint. And 201 is definitely in range of 3 ominous wins.
Always on what to do, which is why I'm taking so much time. Okay.
Wow, we really did use Flamethrower. That's not gonna... This is the problem with Werster. He sometimes plays way too quickly. Like... Do we really think that this is Draco range? Like, this is more than a third of Zapdos's HP bar. If Draco misses or doesn't kill... Okay. That is also unlucky. That is also unlucky. The Omni boost would have been worse, but that's not a fair criticism. So Zapdos is never going to Light Screen here. It's always going to Thunderbolt next Pokemon. I think you have to. I think you have to Magma Storm, because with the chip, Magma Storm's always going to kill. It's a little bit scary to use Magma Storm, but Magma Storm also kills through the Focus Band that Zapdos 2 has.
Okay. So I don't have to hit Magma Storm. Oh my god, I can't believe that lived. That's bullshit.
This is why we play with calcs. I think it was wrong regardless. So Milo dies. What?
Oh, fuck off! Oh, that's bull.
That's a... Why did we go Milo before Heatran, but then switch out Milo? This doesn't make sense to me. There's another option. If we don't want to risk the 75%, Magma Storm could also just explode and then have Milo in the 1v2, which actually is not that bad. It probably favoured from there. I mean, this was just misplayed. We can talk about bad luck. I think it was bad luck, but bad luck is going to come and get you at some point. And when it does, you really want to be